So there's a tradition on the Epiphany to announce the movable feasts that are upcoming that change every year. We continue in this season of Christmas, and what's being announced, what's being proclaimed is exactly what we hear in the gospel. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea. And so the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, God became man. And when this event happened, very few people were aware of this mystery. Joseph and Mary obviously were aware. And also the shepherds. The shepherds were people despised, looked down upon, not taken into consideration. This mystery was revealed to them. And now we have the three magi, to whom also this mystery was revealed. And so it's important to look at them. They were pagans, so they didn't know the prophecies. They didn't know all of the scriptures. And yet, their eyes were in the heavens. They were looking, and in the midst of the darkness, they saw light. And they began a great journey. We don't know how long they were walking, something, maybe as long as 2 years. They abandoned what they knew. They abandoned where they were. And they didn't know where they were going. They didn't know what they would encounter. They didn't know what they would find. And yet they're humble enough to begin this journey. And this is the journey of faith. That each one of us, we also don't know exactly where we're going. We don't know exactly what we'll encounter. But they were led by a star. And this star for us is faith. And at times is difficult. And for sure at times they questioned among themselves, maybe it's not worth it. Maybe we go back. Maybe we won't find anything. Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe this star isn't leading us anywhere. And for sure it's helpful that they had companions on the journey, that each of them wasn't alone, that they could encourage each other. Let's keep going. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe we will find what we're looking for. What set them on this journey? Why did they begin to walk? They knew something was missing. Apparently, they had wealth. They had status. Yet something was missing. Something was missing in their lives, and they felt that this star could lead them to what they were missing. Because really, much more than them searching, looking, seeking, it's God who's drawing them, who's leading them, who's calling them. And so it's also true for us. Much more than us seeking, looking, it's really God who's drawing us, who's pulling us, who's encouraging us. And God knew what to use. They were interested in the stars. And so God uses that. God will also use the scribes. God will also use the scriptures. God will also even use Herod on their journey. And so it is also with us on our journey. God uses different events, different people, puts them in at the right time, in the right place, also to lead us on this journey. Behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising, and we have come to do him homage." Their desire, their intention, is to do him homage. They recognize in this newborn King of the Jews is someone greater than us. And so, to do him homage is recognizing something greater. Did they recognize the divinity? Did they recognize God? We don't know, but something greater than them. And this is really our journey, that we're also on this journey to Jesus, someone who's greater than us. Hopefully we also have this intention, this desire also to do him homage, recognizing in him something greater than us. When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled. So the same announcement that puts the Magi in motion, that encourages them to abandon everything to start on this journey, King Herod was troubled. He was troubled because they tell him that they're looking for the newborn king of the Jews. And Herod is thinking, but I'm the king of the Jews. Which means that if there's a newborn king of the Jews, he's my rival. He's my competition. He comes to take away my power. He comes to take away my kingdom. And so he's greatly troubled. And we know about King Herod that he killed more than half of his 10 wives. He killed his children. He killed people in prominence. And later, he'll be responsible for the slaughter of the innocents. Because he's mostly concerned about power. This is what he's seeking. This is what he's desiring. This is what he thinks wrongly will give him happiness. And this is a danger for me, for you, for each one of us. That what we're interested in is building my kingdom. I'm the king. There's no other king. If there's another king, he's my rival. He must be killed. This is King Herod. But this, as I mentioned, could be not too far from us. I'm not interested in another king. I'm the king. I'm the one who has the power. Thinking that this will give us happiness. But, as it says, King Herod was greatly troubled, full of anxiety, not at peace. Because Jesus Christ comes to give us peace. Jesus Christ comes to bring us into another kingdom, a kingdom of freedom, a kingdom of joy. But the question is, if I'm too concerned about defending my kingdom, then I don't enter. King Herod will never have this encounter with Jesus Christ. Even though he's seeking him with a bad intention, he'll never find him, never encounter him. He was greatly troubled, and all of Jerusalem with them. And so the Magi, knowing that they're seeking the newborn king of the Jews, they go reasonably to Jerusalem. He must be in Jerusalem. He must be in the capital. He must be where the temple is. He must be in the palace. That's where we will encounter him. That's where we will find him. But he's not there. And so King Herod assembles the chief priests and the scribes of the people. They're the ones who know the scriptures. They're the ones who are able to interpret the word. And so, as I mentioned, God uses the star. God uses also the chief priests and the scribes. God uses the scripture. God uses Herod. And the chief priests and the scribes, they get it right. They get it right. Which is to say that the scriptures is a help on this journey. That it does enlighten our path. That it does point us in the right direction. And so they get it right. They tell him that in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it has been written through the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel. And it's interesting that the Magi have been on this long journey, this difficult journey, for a long time. And they're close. They're only 5 miles from Bethlehem. And the chief priests and the scribes, they rightly say that the signs are pointing that now is the time, that it's in our generation, that it's in our times that the Messiah will be born, the one who's been prophesied, the one that the ones that the prophets have spoken about. But it's interesting that the scribes and the chief priests, they don't start this journey. They don't go. It's so close. Don't you want to see? Don't you want to know if it's true? Why didn't they go? I think it's easy for us to imagine. But to go, I have to leave where I am. I have my plans. I have my life. I don't have time right now. You guys go. You look. You tell me what you encounter. This can happen. It can happen to each one of us. That people are making immense efforts. People are coming from very far to encounter Jesus Christ. And us who are so close, we're so close. You guys, tell me what you find. Because it can happen. It can happen to me. I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable where I am. Maybe later. Later I'll look to see if it's true. And then Herod called the Magi secretly, as working in secret, not in the open, keeping things hidden. And we know he has a bad intention. He wants to know where Jesus is so that he can kill him. Herod called the Magi secretly and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word, that I too may go and do him homage." And we know it's a lie. He doesn't want to do homage to anyone. He's too concerned that other people are doing him homage. He doesn't want to do homage to anyone. After their audience with the king, they set out, and behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them. And so they were humble enough to be led. They're not going where they want to go, as they want to go. No, they're simply following the star. It seems that the star is pointing in that direction. It seems that the star is leading us over there. And this is a great humility. And so it's a question for each one of us. Can I be led? Can God lead me? Maybe in a direction that I don't see so clearly. Maybe in a way that doesn't make much sense to me. Can I trust that star more than myself? To allow God to lead me. They were, behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. And so this star did lead them to Jesus, as faith is also leading us on this journey to Jesus. And they were overjoyed at seeing the star. Overjoyed. This journey brings joy. Whereas Herod was greatly troubled, the three magi were overjoyed, filled with joy. And this is the only place that will find this overwhelming joy, is as we draw close to Jesus. This is what we're seeking. This is what we desire. This is what will fill us with joy. They're overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. They saw the child in the arms of Mary. They saw something very ordinary. They saw something very human. They saw something very human. And so it's also with us, that we will also encounter Jesus in the arms of Mary, which is to say the church. Something very human, something very humble, something very poor, something very ordinary. But they recognized he's here. Something greater than us is here. What we've been seeking, what we've been looking for, the desire of our hearts is here, is present. This mystery has been revealed to us. And they prostrated themselves and did him homage. And this would be appropriate for each one of us. If our eyes are opened to see this mystery, that in the presence of something very poor, ordinary, and human, God has deigned to be present, to be born, so that we can have this encounter. So they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They gave him the best. They knew they couldn't repay what he had to offer. And so it's true for us. Jesus Christ comes to bring us into his kingdom. It's a kingdom of freedom. It's a kingdom of joy. It's a kingdom of peace. That we can participate in this kingdom that's divine. Even if we give him the best that we have, it's nothing compared to what he comes to give us. And so they give him the best. And it's right, it's appropriate. We also should give him the best because we recognize we can't begin to be grateful enough. Not only is the mystery revealed, not only has he brought us to this encounter, but he comes to bring us into his kingdom. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod. How can they go back to Herod? How can they go back to Herod? They can't go back to Herod. They departed for their country by another way. They can't go back the way they came. Also for us, if we encounter Jesus Christ, we can't go back the way we came. We can't. Because this encounter changes us. And we go by another way. And so on this feast of the Epiphany, we give thanks to God that through faith, he's also leading us. Through faith, he's also drawing us to have this encounter. The encounter with the Savior, with the Messiah, with divinity, who comes to share his kingdom. And so let us enter into this Eucharist full of gratitude, full of joy, that this mystery has been revealed, that we can participate in this kingdom that the newborn King of the Jews comes to bring us.
Angels we have